So we will try and go through as much as we can. And as always, if you have any questions as we go, please do drop them into the chat. And we will try and answer them as best we can during, and then we'll answer any ones we don't get to at the end. So, cool. If we're all set, we're going to go ahead and rock and roll. SaaStr Annual is quickly approaching, and so we want to make sure you guys have all the info you need. I've got Kevin and David here with me today, so we'll be your trio and host of the day, kind of walking you through everything SaaStr Annual. Okay, we do have actually a fair amount of new sponsors who have come on, and I think newer folks who are joining these webinars. So we did want to give a little bit of a recap and overview and reminders, just to a general overview today, present some new information. So if you have been on previous webinars, there will be some new information here for you today, but we really wanted to do like a deep dive recap of everything you need to know as a sponsor as of today, July 27th, with just, a little over 6 weeks or so to go to the event. We are at the San Mateo County Event Center. So if you've not attended or sponsored previously, the biggest thing to note is that this is a massive 40-acre campus. It is an indoor-outdoor venue. We'll walk you through the campus map today, show you how that all works, but it is quite a huge space. And so do bear that in mind. We ask folks to keep that in mind when, shifting your teams, maybe rotating team members, staying close by, or if you're Ubering in, just something to factor in as well. It is quite a big, expansive property. And so we do quite a bit on site, which you'll see, because you are kind of on this massive property. It's maybe a little bit harder than other events to get away, if you will. So there is a lot going on campus. The campus is everything you need: coffee, Wi-Fi, water, lunch, etc. So yeah, San Mateo County Event Center, September 6th through 8th are the official days, and we'll chat about in a second for the load-in days.
And Amelia, just to reiterate, I think a good point, everyone stays on campus here for the most part. It's not like a city convention center where people go walk off and go downtown or go to a Starbucks down the block. Like, we offer everything, say, on campus, and folks kind of come for the whole experience. So, and, also if you're from out of town, it's about 15 minutes from the airport, 10 to 15 minutes, depending on if there's no traffic.
Time.
Yeah. So it's really, really well situated, about, 15 minutes south of the airport, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Also, if you are newer here, great points there. These are your main contacts. I think you guys know all these folks. They're here today. But if you need anything, these are the best folks to reach out to. If you're not sure who to reach out to, Sponsor Success SaaStr Inc. is the best email to reach out to. There's multiple of us on there. I'm in it. The sales team's in it. We have a dedicated production team in it. Our general contractor looks at it. There are a ton of people in there, so they will route you to the right answer. And we try and answer things as fast as we can. Usually get you an answer within the same day, if not sooner, within a few hours, because we know that everything is upcoming. So we try and answer those as fast and quickly as possible. So big thanks to our Sponsor Success team. You can reach out to them with whatever you may need. A quick note and a reminder here, if you have not already, it is definitely past time to book your travel to SaaStr Annual. That includes hotels, flights, possibly rental cars. As you've probably seen, the Crown Plaza is, as of right now, sold out. We're trying to see if we can wiggle any more rooms free, but right now it is sold out in the block. There are other courtesy blocks we have listed here that are a little bit further from the venue, maybe about 10 minutes or so. And there are other hotels not listed here that are closer to Crown Plaza. So do bear that in mind. I know things are filling up really fast. If you, keep in mind the fact that this is a largely international and domestic event. Not every, it is not a commuter event. People come into SaaStr Annual. It's definitely a rideshare international event. So lots of folks have already been booking. So some of the ones that are closer are getting either sold out or really full. So again, keep that in mind if you've not booked your travel yet. Also, I know with airlines, the later you wait, the worse it gets. And one thing I do want to mention for folks, it is the day after Labor Day that sponsor load-in starts. So if that is something you want to bear in mind for your travel, of traveling your team either on Labor Day, the day before, factor that in mind. There can be sort of a lot of delays at the airport anytime there is a federal, like US federal holiday, of like either getting delayed the day after because everyone's kind of leaving from a holiday. Shockingly, I feel like traveling on holidays is quieter than the day after. But just something to keep in mind there, right? If you want folks there on time, might be something where you want to book them a day or two early, just to avoid any potential delays that might occur with it being the day after a holiday. Cool. Keep your questions coming. Some of what you guys are asking is later on in our deck, so we'll keep rocking and rolling for now. A quick note on the event agenda, which I've kind of prefaced, but hopefully you've booked your travel. If not, you'll book it today or this week. When should you get there, right? People ask us this all the time. When should I get there? What do I do? Like, what happens? Do I need to come to early sponsor load in? So we have a full kind of like day, if you will, of sponsor load in. It is Tuesday, September 5th, again, the day after Labor Day. It's from 2 to 8 o'clock. So what that is, that gives you guys time to pick up your badges, go to your booths. Your booths are turnkey. We'll talk about your graphics. It is turnkey. So you show up, any shipments that you would have shipped, your shipments should be there. And then really what people use this time for is to get acquainted, right? Test out your monitor, test out the booth loop, get situated, get your badges, roll any swag items, set yourself up, get any collateral you have ready to go for the next day. This is really like a plug and play. You're coming to your booth to spruce it up, set it up the way that you like, etc. So that's really, it's turnkey. So you can show up just Wednesday, the morning of. Some people do that. But if you want to buffer a little bit more time, then you can do that. There's a question here on when you receive the Freeman Show Services Kit. That is already live. We'll drop it into the chat in a second. And we'll try and go over it if we have time. Okay, so also on this day, I just want to know, early badge pickup is open this day. Not only for sponsors have 2 hours before it opens to just general attendees, and then there is time for general attendees. Everyone on your team does need to pick up their own badge. Like if I'm coming, I cannot pick up David and Kevin's badges. Everyone needs to pick up their own badge. Another question we've got recently is like, if I have a different team coming for setup than live days, do they need to be registered? Yes, they actually do need to be registered so that we know that they are officially part of your team. We can help you, to get extra passes because you have someone using a pass for a setup day, but they absolutely need to be registered. This also goes for any activations or anything you're doing. If you've got any vendors that you're bringing in, you also need to register your vendors so that they can get into the building. Like a badge is basically your go, no go for all the days of SaaStr Annual. So it's super important that you register anyone who's going to touch your booth, come within your booth on any of the days. If for some reason, again, you get delayed or you come in late, there is satellite registration open until 6 p.m. At the Crown Plaza. So there'll be a dedicated check-in desk there. You can get your badges there, but same rules apply. Everyone does need to still pick up their own badge. That loading day, I'll kind of breeze through show days. We do have satellite reg open on Wednesday in the morning. So again, if you want to get your badge before you go to SaaStr Annual, some people have asked us why this is important. Once all the attendees show up at once, there can sometimes be this thing called a little bit of a line. We don't love lines. And so as you'll see on our campus map, we do have 4 different registration entrances. We will help you get to the one that has, the least amount of lineage. We do try and expedite people through. So we've done a few things actually from Europa at our past 3 live events that we're implementing to Annual to make it quicker for folks to check in, but you do still need to check in yourself, and you do have to have a temperature check, which we'll talk about, but that's what you have to do at check-in. Also to note, you do have to have your ID for check-in. So, David needs to present either his license or his passport, whatever it may be, affirming that David is David and that Kevin is Kevin. This does, as you imagine, kind of stomp out the badge swapping. So again, if you have people who are rotating shifts, etc., badge swapping is strictly prohibited. They will cache it during the ID check. So just make sure you register each individual person. Okay, on the big day, Wednesday, day 1, you've got kind of an hour, 2 hours here in the morning for final loaded. Again, this is final checks. If you can make it on Tuesday, spruce your booth, it's very turnkey. Set yourself up for the rest of the day because it is going to be 3 very jam-packed days. So the sponsor hall officially opens at 10. Brain dates start at 10. Lunches from 11:30, speakers and content start right at noon. And we go right from content into happy hour, and then right into what we call this year, the SaaStr Wine and Food Festival and the sponsor hall hangers. So one thing to note on day one, right, that happy hour and that wine and food fest are in the sponsor hall hangers. So you're gonna want to make sure you are well staffed during those times, because there's definitely peak, like I'm talking a sponsor time and having a drink. So calling that out there. Show day 2, Thursday, September 2nd, because we're on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mix this year. Kind of a similar setup to Wednesday. We do start a bit earlier this day, so it's something to bear in mind. Again, you've got like an hour of early access in the morning from 8 to 9. Get your coffee, spruce up your booth, ensure everything is ready as you want it. And then again, we've got a full jam-packed day. The sponsor halls are open from 9 to about 6. The mentorship, the brain dates are going all day. Speakers and content starts a lot earlier this day. We have all stages lit this day, so that's like all 8 of them. Lunch of this day, happy hour, and then the big party. So call out here that there's going to be a lot of content going on this day. There's happy hour this day, and then the big party is out in stage A with I'm going to keep saying band or DJ, so I announce it, band or DJ, soon to be announced. So that is the big party coming into the last day, Friday, September the 8th. The biggest thing I want to call out here is the loadout. So again, you've got the early access in the morning from 8 to 9, brain dates, content all day. And then we're going to kind of end the day with our beer garden happy hour again, and the hangers, as well as sponsor loadout. So sponsor loadout does not start until 6 p.m. We put 5:30 on here, but really, it's depending on when the last attendee leaves the building. Important things here for loadout that we get asked a lot, like what does loadout entail? What do I need to do? Do I dismantle my booth? Like, what do I do during loadout? And basically what you do during loadout is, like, if you have any swag that you want to ship back, you will work with our partners at Freeman to ship that back to your home base. If you have things you want to trash, just make sure you work with us to label, like, hey, we're leaving this, we're donating it, whatever it is. And you're going to want to make sure, you've got all your belongings, etc. It's really just, if you have anything you want to ship back, that's what you need to load out during the loadout period. So if at any time you're like, I'm done with all my swag at 3 o'clock, I've talked to plenty of people in our 3 days, like, we're good, then you are free to leave, right? There's nothing for you to physically do other than, ship your things back, take all your belongings with you, and that's it. So that's kind of what loadout all entails. Okay, one big reminder before we go into the rest of the reminders. Booth submission artwork for Gold Booth was actually due yesterday, so thanks to everyone who did submit. I think there's only a handful of you missing, so if you've not submitted yet, or if you're newer, that might be why. But please do submit your graphics. And then for everyone else who is not a Gold Booth, your deadline is actually coming up. So July 31st, which is quickly coming up next week. All other booth graphics are due. You can start to submit now. All the links are in here if you still need them, or if you don't know where to submit. But yes, please submit those on time so that you avoid the late fee, because if you avoid after, the 25th or the 31st for your level, you will incur a late graphics surcharge. Again, we're trying to avoid this, but it just is the fact of printing everything all at once. So try and get those in so you can avoid that. And then once you get your proof back, we'll be working with your team to make sure you get it back as soon as possible. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the campus and the venue. Again, it's at the 3rd year in a row at the San Mateo County Event Center. Super massive venue, and I will preface, and David and Kevin and I say this all the time, like, our maps don't show scale great. Like, it is a huge campus, and we try and consolidate it so you can see everything on one map. But it's a little misleading because you're like, oh, that doesn't look that big, and it's ginormous. So bear that in mind. This is really big. If you're a sponsor and this is your first time, or you're part of a sponsoring team and you're newer there, highly recommend you go on Google Maps, do like the virtual tour. There's a whole virtual tour of the San Mateo County Event Center. It is very helpful to get your bearings, or also, come for day 0, come early. It will definitely change your perspective on SaaStr. You can't miss it. Also, when you get close, you'll see the tents, you'll see the container parks. Like, you can see it from, I think it's see it from a plane if you're in the flight path. So it is quite big. It has a lot of sustenance to it. So be sure to get your bearings there. Let me walk you guys through the campus map because this is a bit newer. So I'm going to zoom in. One thing to note, this is a live link we've dropped into the deck, which we will share immediately after. Actually, we'll try and throw it in the chat too when we get to formal Q&A. But let me just see if this will let me kind of zoom around and take you guys places. So there's a few things I want to call out. One, yeah, this is a live link, so we do update it, right? If anything changes, gets updated, this live link changes and gets updated too. You'll see it, it's called out in like the name, right? You'll see when we updated it literally this morning. So this is brand new and fresh and up to date. Some people I know have asked, like, do big things change? At this point, no, it's really small things that are changing around, shifting around. And that's due to like a few, things like we're still working through with the fire marshal in the venue of where everything can be housed, placed, etc. And that's why things can move sometimes from place to place. So that's why. I'm going to start in the hangars because that's where the sponsor halls are, and we'll do a deep dive on the sponsor hall. These hangars are going to be the center of everything SaaStr this year. You can see there's like 2 registration points, actually 3. There's 3 of the 4 registration points are actually centered around the hangars. So we call them Hangar West and Hangar East. There are 2 very large buildings. Again, this is, not at scale, but they are super, super huge. So in the hangars, there's a lot going on. There are both sponsor halls. There's, the founders lounge, the brain dates, cantina stages A and B. There's the big cantina, the co-working space. Like the hangars are the hub of everything. There is a connector between the 2 buildings. And so again, the hangar is going to be the center of everything. It's going to be where all your booths are and also where attendees mainly are throughout the day. So that's where it will be a lot this year. There's a few other things I want to call out just on this half, So registration, again, we have various registration points. If you're ever wondering, like, which one should I go to, Avelia? There's 4 of them. I would say to you, it depends on what you're doing. So if you're taking a ride share, Gate 1 is a good place to get dropped off. This is actually the default of where the Ubers will drop you if you just put into your Uber or Lyft San Mateo County Event Center. They're going to naturally take you to Gate 1 because that's where they take people for other events like the fair or other things that go on at the event center. So Gate 1, that's kind of like the natural drop off for folks. And if you're ever wondering, like in the description on our map, we do have the addresses of things. So if you're like, I want to go to a particular one, you can use these addresses. So Gate 1's at 2500 South Delaware Street. Good one if you're doing rideshare, you don't have a lot to carry with you. You just kind of want to pop in. Also a great place if you already have your badge. It does have an express lane, and so you can breeze through there. Also great for sponsors because, it is close to the hangar. Gate 1, if you get there and it's crowded, we may direct you to the Delaware registration because it is much bigger than Gate 1. Gate 1 is literally a physical gate, and it's not the biggest. So we've got a huge Delaware registration on this side. It does have rideshare drop-off, and it also has parking. So if you're a sponsor, definitely, we'll drop in the link where to request parking. You can request sponsor parking in Delaware lot, so it's closer to your booth. That's the place to go. Again, you may get directed here even if you put in Gate 1 if it's backed up, because the Delaware West lot is much bigger. So that's registration there. The speaker entrance is only for speakers, and they do check. So if you're like, I'm just going to go to the speaker reg because everyone else is coming through the other 3. They do check. There is like a thing you have to show them. And if you don't have the thing, they're not going to let you in. So if you're a speaker, great, go that way. If you're not a speaker, don't go that way because they're going to turn you away. Speaker entrance only there. And then there's another one out in the, what we call East. But this is like the outside part of SaaStr Annual. There's a huge registration out here. We call it Saratoga registration because it's on Saratoga Drive. It is 1346 Saratoga. Again, sometimes people will default route you here if you get an Uber. Most of the time they'll take you to Gate 1. The other half of the time they'll take you here because it's a huge parking lot. Totally fine. You can enter this way. It just means you're going to walk a little bit. The other thing to note is this is where Ubers and Lyfts will pick up at the end of the day. They prefer to pick up here. So we do want you to keep note of that, again, especially as a sponsor. If you're setting like an Uber pickup, they're probably going to pick you up here /force you to pick up here because this is where they have their dedicated pickup points. if you've ever been at Coachella, it's kind of like that, or any big festival where like, you know, they've gotten dedicated Uber rideshare, like pickup zones with like the numbers. That is how big SaaStr is. It really has the same Uber style as Coachella. So bear that in mind. Also out here, and I see the questions coming, and David and Kevin are doing a great job of answering them. Again, some of this we're still getting to, but also out here in the East lot, we've got 2 workshop stages out here. A container park. So this is new. If you haven't been to SaaStr, we're doing a container park this year. If you don't know what a container park is, you can like Google the Las Vegas container park. That's a good comp for this one, actually. It does have a fun thing like a zip line that goes over it. And then we also have our stage A legends out here. So this is all outdoors. Obviously, this is, you know, open air. Good weather means it's fun to be out here, go to a content session, hang out, there's drinks, etc. And that's the outside. And then coming more so for the inside, we've kind of covered the hangars. And the other things just to note out here is there is a new SaaStr Royale. That is probably what you think it is. It is a sort of take on Casino Royale. There's no actual betting. You'll be betting with chips, but then you'll win SaaStr bucks. So yeah, no actual money will be involved, but it'll be really fun if you want to take a break and try your hand and place your bets at one of the SaaStr Royale games. It should be fun. It's outside, so because I imagine people will get loud. It's outside, so it'll be a bit of fun you can do and take a break there. We also have SaaStr Square Park. This is like our central park, if you will. There is some content out here on the plaza stage, our speaker green room, which is again just for speakers. We do have 2 lounges this year I want to call out. There's the Founders Lounge, which is in the East Hangar. There's also a VC Lounge. These are just for those folks, right? Again, they're going to be doing badge checks, like if you're a founder, CEO, or if you're a VC investor. These are places for those folks to meet with one another and also have and host their meetings. We have a lot of founders who come on site. We have a ton of investors that want to meet with attendees and sponsors on site. And so that's why we've got these 2 lounges. I think a few people asked in the chat, like, where can I book a meeting space? That's maybe a bit more private. So on 21, we do have this executive briefing center. I'm going to preface, it's not private, it is semi-private. So there's not really a private space you can pop on site at this campus, but it's really great. We had folks do this last year. This is opening in about a week. So it's the executive briefing center where you can have, you know, again, semi-private meetings. There's pods, so you can book a pod. And it can host, you know, probably like a dozen people per pod, and you can have a meeting there. It's a much quieter space to hang out on. It is gated, so you know you've got to match who you are meeting, and that is the best place to meet people. So we'll roll that out next week after everyone kind of submits their booth to book space in the EBC. Other things we'll just note here on the campus map is floor plan and booth selection. So we did see a few questions here about the like sponsor halls themselves. So again, there is a dedicated, if you will, zoomed in map of the hangars. So you can see into the sponsor halls a lot better. You can zoom in on this. It is literally 4K. So you can keep zooming and it will load for you in a space where you can read the numbers. Sometimes if you see it load pixely, it's literally just loading because it's a huge file. So give it a second. And as you can see, like mine got really crisp, which is nice. Also, if you're watching on Zoom though, it might not be as crisp as my monitor, but again, the link is in the slides. So again, this is the zoomed in version of both of the sponsor halls in the hangar. There's a lot going on here. You know, some of our biggest sponsors bring the cantina. There's the Brain Day Networking Lounge, which we'll talk about a little bit, but this is our main like attendee networking. The gold booths are in the East Hangar, as well as, you know, a cantina, the cantina stage, and the Founders Lounge. In Hangar West, there is a co-working space here. The Super Gold and Up are in here, as well as 2 stages. So stage B is in here, as well as cantina stage A. And then the really big cantina, which is like one of our main lunch areas. So for those asking about booth selection has started. That's why you'll see on this map, some people do already have their logo on their booth. Also, I'll call it on the second page, there is a directory. So if you're trying to see who's where as you're picking your booth, when it comes time to pick your booth, we'll send you the most updated version of this map so you can do so. Obviously, some folks don't want to be near competitors, or they want to be nearer to partners that they have in their ecosystem. And so this does have the directory on the second page. Booth selection has started. So it is in order of level and contract signature date. So I know some folks are asking like, why haven't I gotten picked yet? It's sometimes really hard for us to gauge like how long people will take to pick ahead of you. And so it really depends on everyone else picking their booth. I would say folks have gotten fairly quickly so far on, booth selection. So we're trying to do that as fast as possible. Like as soon as people pick in order, we're literally slotting them in and asking the next round of folks to pick their booths. That's as fast as we can go. Obviously, we need everyone to pick in order. We do honor contract signature date very seriously. So it is in order when you signed your booth. And people signed as early as on-site as last year, SaaStr annual. So that is something to bear in mind, like for next year's other editions of SaaStr, like it is all based on contract signature date there. Okay, a few other things we want to hit before we run out of time, because there's a few reminders we want to go through. One, we touched on this briefly, but we haven't talked about it in a couple weeks on this webinar. So I know we used to have very more stringent, I'm going to say, health and safety policies. I'm not going to say the C word because it'll get flagged on YouTube. But we used to have a lot more stricter health and safety policies. This year, our policy is don't come sick. So there are mandatory passive temperature checks each day of the event. People ask us what this means. This means like as you're walking in, there's going to be a thermal camera in the zone that you're walking in to pick up your badge. It's going to passively scan you. It's going to beep at our team. Our team is a team that we bring in of trained nurses. They're all trained medical professionals. They're not like me and David and Kevin. They're all trained medical personnel, and they will handle it if it beeps, whatever, if it has a situation where it says that you have a temperature. Also, if you're not feeling well, they are good people to talk to, because they can kind of address your symptoms, etc. If you need to go back and rest in your hotel, maybe come back another day, etc. So again, mandatory temperature checks each day of the event. We ask that you don't come sick. If you or anyone on your team is starting to feel unwell leading up to the event, we get that happens. Reach out to our team so we can swap your ticket for somebody else. If you don't have that time and you get on site and you're like, oh my God, I need to take, Kevin's ticket. Kevin got sick. We can help you do that on site. Just come to registration. Those folks are equipped to do badge swap, ticket swaps for this situation. And if you're unwell, again, please stay home. Don't come sick. It's probably better for you too if you stay home and rest. And as a sponsor, try and send someone else on your team to take your place, and we can help you do that. So that is the policy. Obviously, other things we are doing is a huge, again, 40-acre campus. The reason we picked it originally is because it is indoor outdoors. It's got airflow. The hangars that you guys are in have giant garage doors that we usually open, again, for like better airflow, for the comfortability of everyone. There is obviously a bunch of things we do in the background that you probably won't see, like sanitation, washing, etc. As I mentioned, we do have a lot of increased medical personnel and security. It's, I think, between the security guards and medical personnel, like 50 people for a 40-acre campus. And they give golf carts, so they can get around. They can address things. But again, if you're not feeling well, please just let us know, or have your team let us know on site so we can swap your badge for someone else. And we hope you rest up and feel better. And that's the gist of that. Okay. Next reminder is to register your teams. Many of you have done this, but some of you have not. If you have not yet, please do register your teams. There's a lot of things that happen when you register your team. One, when you register, lets us know, we are tracking, who has registered as a sponsor and who hasn't. And if you want to avoid any annoying reminders that might be upcoming, register your teams now, so you don't get those, because then you're all registered. Other things is, once you register, you will get all the attendee emails as well. So, all those announcements on the big party, who's playing, what's the food and wine fest, all that stuff that gets sent out to attendees, you would get as well once you register. Also, I know people have been dropping it in the chat. Access to brain dates is only if you register. Otherwise, we don't know if you're coming. Any of the networking, the mobile app, all that good stuff, you can only access once you register. So please do register your team.
I just want to reiterate that point too. Like a lot of times it'll save you if you're the event planner on this call, or you're the key person, running logistics for your company. And you're getting a lot of questions from the folks who are planning to attend. A lot of them will be answered once they're registered, because they'll be getting that attendee communications. So they'll find out about all these things, whether it's parking or food or brain dates, etc. So another good reason.
Yeah, great reminder. Okay, one thing we want to talk about too, separate from registering your team, and we saw some questions on this in the chat, is the questions around the customer nominations. David, not sure if you want to chime in here. I know you're passionate on this.
No, would love to. I mean, this is, I think, one of the, we started this last year for, I think, the first time, Amelia, because I know it was here 2 years ago, we didn't do it. And we did it with a handful of sponsors, and it was like super successful. So the way I think about this is, first, you should involve your sales orgs and your customer success teams. What it is an opportunity for you to invite your customers or your prospects to SaaStr as your guest, essentially free of charge. They're going to get a free ticket courtesy of you. So I think the message is like, hey, we're sponsoring SaaStr this year. We're speaking at SaaStr. Our team's going to be there. Our execs are going to be there. Whatever you're doing, we're sponsoring the happy hour, whatever it is. And we'd love to invite you as our guest to SaaStr. If you can come, we'll get you a free ticket. It's a value of $1,500. That's what they cost. So, one way that sponsors last year saw value, I mean, they got to immediately get like an ROI from SaaStr. It's a great touch point with their customers. They were able to convert bottom of funnel pipeline at our event. Of course, you're going to meet lots of other folks here. You're going to meet thousands of people, but this is just a great, easy win for it. Kevin, what'd I miss? I know you talk about this a lot.
No, I think you nailed it. The only thing I'll add, one of my sponsors, they are actually creating a little bit of a competition with their sales and customer success team, where there's a prize for each, but for those that get the most of their target account list to SaaStr, they're getting a really cool prize. I think it's like something really, really special. So again, I think the more you can maybe even like incentivize, gamify, a little competition with your internal teams to get the most, key prospects, key customers at SaaStr. Again, I think it'll drive awesome ROI. So I thought that was a really cool learning.
Amelia, there was a couple of tactical questions. I think one of them I can answer, which is, well, let me just say it a different way. You can add your customer nominations here on a rolling basis. You don't have to wait till you have all 10 or all 5. You could add one, hit submit, and then it goes to our team. Amelia, one of the questions is, once they're submitted, what's the process for that person to get a ticket?
Yeah, great question. So I just clicked on the page here that's in the deck. Once again, I have a free second here. I'll drop the deck into the Slack, and we'll drop this link in. So yeah, you come here, as David mentioned, you don't have to fill out the whole thing. You can do this on a rolling basis. You can submit more than 10. And I say that because if you submit 10 people, high chance that some of these people are already coming to SaaStr. So rather than us going back to you and being like, hey, 6 out of your 10, we're already coming, which actually has happened. I've seen all these customer nominations. I'm like, half these people are already coming, which is great, right? Because then you know that they're coming. We'll tell you that they're coming. You can set a meeting with them on site, but it doesn't take up one of your customer nominations. So yeah. Anyways, you can submit more than 10. You can submit one person at a time. You can submit, this lets you do 5 at once. You could do it twice to do your 10 at once. You could do 15 just to buffer it. And what you'll do is you'll put in your company name. I have seen a few people put the name of their customer here. And I think I can figure out who nominated them, but this is where you put your name. So if it was me, I put SaaStr, I put my email. And then this is where you put each nomination. So this is where you're going to put your customers. We do need each person's first name, last name, company, title, and email. This is what the system needs to ticket them. This is also what we use to look them up if they're already ticketed. So we do need all those fields. So please do fill that in for each nomination. Again, these are not requirements, right? So you could fill in like one person. Hey, got it, right? If you got new nominations, just submit again and then submit. And what the process looks like that after is we are actually going through these and vetting these now. So if you've already submitted, You'll probably hear back from us in the next day or two of, hey, we've ticketed these people, or these people are already coming. And that's really it. It is that easy. Again, they can either be existing customers or active prospects. Yes, as you'll see on this page, you can bring your mascot or mascot equivalent to SaaStr as well. Just let us know. But yeah, we recommend you invite CEOs, founders, directors, managers, etc. Don't invite your investors. We do a separate Meet a VC thing with them, so you can tell us about them. But this is really meant to be for your customers and your prospects, not for your LPs. That kind of it. Let me pull up the chat and see what people are asking. Can we invite? Okay, there are some questions on this one. What's the SLA for customer nomination approvals? So we kind of just hit that. Again, it's about a few working days. It depends on how many of these we get at once. I will say usually every Thursday after this webinar, we get a flood. So it might take a little longer than a couple biz days, but we're trying to keep it a couple biz days so that with your team who you can keep nominating. So I've answered that one live. I saw something about August 4th being a soft deadline for the customers and prospects. Can you talk to this? Sure. So yes, as you'll see on this page, we do ask that you complete this by August 4th. Our hard deadline is going to be the 15th. So basically on August 4th, we'll send everyone a summary of like, hey, you've either used all your passes or it's open for like another week or so. After that, because the annual is upcoming, people do start to run out of time to book their travel as your customers, right? So keep that in mind. That's why we really have that deadline, because it does help folks who are coming meet you there, et cetera, give them time to book their travel, hotels, et cetera, since they're coming in a bit later to the show. Someone else has asked, can you invite individual customers, prospects who are individual contributors as long as they're not in sales? Yes, you can. Again, as long as they're not in sales, unless sales is your buyer, which is just a few of you, right? If you're a MarTech thing or you're like a sales boss and sales is your buyer, that's a different story. But for the most part, yeah. Cool. Presentation link. Okay, we'll drop that in. I'm actually just going to drop that in now. Me, for those asking. Anyone with the link? Doing it live. I'm going to drop this into the chat for everyone. Ta-da. Okay. Slides are there in the chat. And I'll also call out for everyone, as you're bearing with me. Thank you so much. We do live stream these. If you ever want to send them to someone else on your team, or you want to rewatch something we said, I'll drop this in the chat as well. This is live streaming, so you could literally watch this back right now if you needed to. I see everyone's joining. Hello. All right, cool. I'm going back to slideshow. Peruse at your heart's content again, and let us know if you have any other questions. Okay. Other reminders I want to get to before we run out of time. Shipping and swag guidelines, actually, I'll say. Some of you have been asking us like swag guidelines because you're starting to ship your things or getting ready to ship your things or have ordered your swag. Obviously things like, because it's an indoor-outdoor campus, t-shirts, water bottles, hats, sunglasses, portable chargers, fans, I would add to those sunscreen, things you can use inside and outside. Those are all super common, super fun giveaways. If you think about it, again, attendees are kind of going inside and outside. They kind of love that kind of thing during SaaStr. So those are things we've seen a lot of during SaaStr Annual. So you can use, the indoor-outdoor venue to your advantage. You can also, now that the campus map is prettier than it used to be, you can dissect it and peruse it and see if there's something you want to play up for like an activation, or like, hey, you can, picnic blankets you can use in SaaStr Square Park, stuff like that. I think people always kind of appreciate when you give them something they can use immediately, because it's a bit of instant gratification. Any games that you're bringing in, so do let us know. I know a lot of you have let us know already. These do need to be approved by SaaStr because they do need to fit in your booth. And also if you're bringing games, etc., that you have to plug in, you may need to order extra power, which we can help you do. But again, things that you're bringing to SaaStr, to help drive traffic, does need to fit within the bounds of your booth, activations, etc., all of that. If you are bringing your own camera or video or social media team, they do also need to be registered. So do let us know. Preferably to let us know this, because we typically want them to have your own waiver, because you can't really film people. In case you didn't know this, probably best not to just film people without their permission, unless they're, again, your team and you've gotten their express permission. So if you're filming attendees, you can, again, just coordinate with us. We can help you with that waiver, etc. I will say, though, there's no drones at San Mateo because it's in the flight path. So please don't bring any drones. They're very strict about no drones. So sorry, but no drones. Also, any ancillary activations, if you're bringing in any food, drinks, these do have to be secured via SaaStr and the San Mateo County Event Center. It is a licensing thing. Like, I don't have a food and beverage license, but San Mateo County Event Center does. Most of you have been really great about looping us into that. So if you haven't yet, please do so. Or if you're looking to do one still, I know a lot, like literally that entire deck of 100 pages we sent got taken up. Oh, doesn't mean there's not. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to call out a question that I think could be useful for others, which is about quantity of swag.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, a couple thoughts from me, but you guys, please jump in, Amelia.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't overdo it, right? I think it does depend on your level. So like if you're a diamond sponsor, you're going to get a lot more visitors than a gold sponsor.
Totally.
All booths are going to get traffic, so don't worry. I would say, a lot of it depends on what you're giving out. We've seen folks do there's different approaches. What we've seen in the past few years is folks do some different levels of swag. Think on one hand, there's the pen that you could give to anybody who comes by or something. And then there may be a high value swag item that you're giving to just like, your qualified prospects or your customers who come by. So you could vary that. In general, I mean, again, depends on level, but I wouldn't overdo it. I'd say a couple hundred of an item. While we'll have a lot of people, not everyone wants stuff. There's a lot of stuff being handed out from a lot of people. We encourage people not to have too much waste, So I don't know. Those are a couple thoughts. I don't know if that's specific enough, but a few hundred of a given item is usually enough. What do you think, Amelia?
Yeah, I'm down with that advice. I like that a lot. It's also something that's after like we order too much swag, so we're trying to also not over order our own swag as well, because we know people do like SaaStr swag, but then all of you are giving out swag. So like if you think about there's whatever almost 200 sponsors, everyone pretty much has a swag item. It can be quite a bit of stuff, and to David's point, try to be a little bit more sustainable, trying not to waste as much, and also all the boxes that it comes in. So I would say a couple hundred of items is good. Things you can do too, like it's not like a cheaping out kind of thing. I do feel like all of SaaStr as a whole, as an audience, is like getting away from waste, right? They do use fun t-shirts and giveaways, but again, things that they can use maybe more longer term or that they can use on site work a little bit better. Quantities of hundreds are good. You can tier your swag. Some of the things that people did at Europa and annual last year was like, kind of doing different games around the different tiered swag. So if you've got like, one or two big ticket items, or if you're like, I'm giving away a Peloton a day, it does not mean you need to roll a Peloton into San Mateo Event Center. You could do a roll-up banner or a meter board that talks about the Peloton giveaway. You could do it at certain hours to like gamify it, to help, again, drive traffic to your booth, drive more leads. But also, again, we've seen more folks gravitate to this of like, they're going to do a big ticket item, they actually ship it to the person who wins it. Or I've seen folks like, enter to win the giveaway. And in order to win it, like you've got to take a demo first after the event. But we've seen, again, a lot of people do different things on their tiered swag. So that's not just like everybody gets one of everything. Things like food and beverage, if you do have an activation, those can go more faster, right? Because that is something consumable. But those are great points there. Just a quick reminder on other things that are, prohibited at the event. Bringing or consuming outside alcohol is strictly prohibited. Again, San Mateo County Event Center has a liquor license. So they are the ones who are exclusive providers for any alcohol. Some of the ways people worked with them similarly at like Europa or like last year, what they've done is like, if you want to do like a champagne giveaway, or I say this, a Don Julio like 1942 giveaway. People did that. Again, same idea.
You're like, Amelia, you're going to be in on that one. So it sounded like pretty specific. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Very specific. People do give those away, and they did either like walk boxes of like, can you guess, whatever XYZ thing. And if you guess it right at the end, you win a bottle of champagne. Cool. At the end, they win. And like San Mateo can help deliver that. Or you can deliver it to them, again, like to their place of residence after event if you want to deliver them alcohol. Because again, alcohol, most people are traveling. So like, they're probably not going to drink it all in one shot if you give it to them that day. Yeah, things to bear in mind there. Again, you could do like meter boards, roll-ups about it versus having it physically in booth if it's a big ticket item, or you want to do something that is alcohol related or one of these things that's prohibited. Other things I'll just touch on, sound and portable speakers are not allowed to be played. I had previous sponsors at Annual in particular ask if they can like podcast at their booth. You can, but I'm going to say this big but. I don't recommend it. Like having a SaaStr podcast where we are very, very particular about the audio. Like I would book a time in the EBC. I would find a quiet place around the venue to do so. I would not use your booth to podcast. Just something to note there. Like I've seen people do like cute little like live interviews, right, with people's permissions. That's all cute. That's all good. But like, again, it's going to be just bear in mind, it's going to be loud. There's stages, there's content, there's people, there's conversations. Like there are quieter places of Annual for sure where you can go sit and think to yourself and do work. But it's a lot of stimulation. So we did get this question too. Helium balloons are not allowed in the venue, and neither is things like glitter, confetti, fake snow, etc. And again, no drones. Okay. Shipping instructions. So when you're shipping, these are the shipping things to take note of. As the event's warehouse is going to start receiving deliverables starting next Friday, the August 4th. So, you can schedule your shipments starting next Friday to get there. And how this works is like, you would ship it to Freeman. Freeman would bring it to SaaStr Annual, and then they'll drop it off at your booth. They can also help you do managed storage. So if you've got a lot, for all 3 days, they can help you do managed storage on site throughout the course of the event so that you don't have everything all at once in your booth. If you need to, you can ship to show site. Again, one thing I want to call out is they're only going to start receiving shipments on the Tuesday before, which is the same day as load-in. So we highly recommend you ship to the advanced warehouse instead. Also, because it's the day after Labor Day, like if for some reason, like your package is not going to get delivered on Labor Day because like UPS is closed. Yeah, shipping companies are closed. So bear that in mind. Again, highly, highly recommend you ship anything you need to that advanced warehouse. These are the labels if you need them. Again, you guys have this now. We'll just touch briefly on lead scanners and then answer any of your final questions before the top of the hour here. Some of you asked like how the lead scanners work. We'll do a whole deep dive on this a bit closer to Annual. There's nothing to physically do now because nobody has a badge yet. Yeah, not a whole lot to do. Basically, after you submit your graphics, we will ask you for your main lead POC, and that is how we will get set up. There's a bit of information here on like, what you can and can't do with it. Again, we'll do more of a deep dive on this, but this is just a quick rough and tough overview for lead scanning for those who have been asking about it. But yeah, there's not really anything you can do right now because again, it'll be for when you scan people on site. And so not a whole lot to do there yet since we're not on site yet, but just some quick guidelines. The last two things I want to hit. Again, we do highly recommend you rotate your teams on site. So there's a whole agenda here for your teams, take advantage of. There's a lot of speakers, really great content. Recommend, carving out some time for your teams to be able to go listen to the speakers, absorb the content, grow professionally in their, subject matter expertise. Highly recommend you allow time for, your team to do so. So 3 days, 8 stages, there's a lot of really great content. Can't recommend that enough. Because we do record everything. But again, like things can take almost a full year to go out post the annual for like certain sessions. So it's better to catch it in real time. And it's again, it can also help break up the day if you've got teams like in the booth. for 3 days can help if they're going to content, etc. Last thing I want to touch on before final questions are, I know you guys have been asking about brain dates. These are launching next week. I did link the link, so the link is live. But again, big reminder that you do have to be registered in order to do this. Brain dates are our main attendee networking. So attendees, sponsors, speakers, all use this for networking. It is one-on-one and group sessions. So there's kind of like 2 ways to do it. You can either join an existing brain date or you can book one. And so how people have used this is like, if you see a topic you like, you can join it, right, and do a mind share on it. Or if you see a topic you are a subject matter expert in that is not yet on the platform, then you can post a brain date. It does limit you on how many brain dates you can post. So you keep that in mind and don't go wild and be like, I want to talk about these 10 things. Like pick one thing because it will limit you. Again, this link is live. It is a soft launch, so you guys can go in there, play around with it, but it's going live to all attendees next week. So like you'll see our team in there, but like there's not attendees in there yet because it's not live for attendees yet.
Question from someone. So even though it's a soft launch, can someone here go in and set up a brain date, or do they have to wait?
They can if you're registered.
Okay, cool. Another good reason to register.
Good reason to register.
Cool. So soft launch, you guys can access it now, but going out to all attendees next week. Right.
So again, you'll see like our team in there. You'll see some of our like pre-seeded topics are getting loaded in there. You can start to post your own topics so that, when it does launch, trying to soft launch it to you guys so you can post your topics in now. So when we launch it to attendees, they're already in there. So good thing to do. And yeah, SaaStr2023.braindate.com. Yeah, super easy to use. I'll just go into final questions because I know we're running out of time here. Let me get out of my full screen. Okay. People have asked, do you know what percentage of the audience typically logs into brain dates? Yeah. It depends on our events, but you like the aggregate average, I think, of SaaStr is like between 70 to 80% of attendees. It is a high percentage of our attendees. A lot of people are logging into brain dates, using brain dates. Again, if you think about it, it's all 3 days, which is kind of the benefit of SaaStr. Is like a lot of people can come on site, they'll see a brain date that they want to join, and they still have time to join it throughout those 3 days. So a lot of people in brain dates.
I've seen people do it just like you said, to reiterate. Sometimes I would expect it to keep picking up steam as we get closer to the event, and even gain steam at the event, because people are like, oh, what's this brain date thing? And then they start registering and even starting a session on the fly on day 2, and that works too. So keep your eye on it the whole time. There's another question about the limit on the number of brain dates one individual can submit.
Yeah, I think it's 2. So again, that's why I say don't spam the platform with 10 topics. It's pretty much going to limit you to 2 until those fill. So what that means is, like, if I'm Amelia and I post a topic on email marketing or event marketing brain date, if Kevin and David join my brain dates and they're full, it will open it up to let me book more brain dates. But if your brain dates are sitting there empty, I do recommend you go through and delete it after a couple of weeks if you're like, all right, no one's joining this topic, so that you can free yourself up for more brain dates. A lot of our team too will suggest that to you if your brain dates are sitting empty, so you can maximize the amount of actual brain dates you host on site. So I do think it's 2 that it kind of limits you to by default. And also to say, if you've never used brain dates before and this is your first time doing it, good idea to join an existing group brain date versus hosting one. If you do host a brain date, just a pro tip, treat it as a micro session. I've known people who bring their laptops with slides. Those are some of the very best brain dates. Don't make it, it's not meant to be a commercial. If it sounds like a commercial, because our brain dates do have a moderation cue this time, it will get rejected if it sounds like a commercial. So again, meant to be thought leadership. And the best ones I've seen or I've taken part in have had either slides or 5 points or examples, data. Some of those are the very best brain dates I've been to. So just a pro tip there. I'm trying to answer any last questions we've got here.
Storage on site?
Accessible. It is accessible storage via Freeman. So you will need to coordinate on site with Freeman to access your items. It is accessible daily if you're bringing a lot for the 3 days. But again,
there's a fee, right? There's a fee for that too from Freeman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, try and, meter out your swag. I feel like people are going less away from like super crazy swag items this year.
Amelia, a question about booking the EBC.
Yes. So you can email us about that and like sponsor success. Again, it's not launched yet, so you can't book anything yet. It's not launching until after booth graphics are done, which they're due, next Tuesday, July 31st. So again, there's that we're not really gonna release that for booking quite yet, just because we don't want to confuse folks on that.
Cool. Musical guest. When's it going to be announced?
I saw that question and I dodged it.
Oh, you dodged it. All right.
I was like, I know who our top 2 contenders are.
Okay.
Fun fact on booking a musical guest, you have to negotiate with their agent. And so as soon as one of our 2 choices says yes via their agent, then the SaaStr team will know and you'll know the day after.
All right, cool. Coming soon.
Coming soon. Yeah. I mean, we've been in negotiations, so we're hoping, I'm hoping I find out tomorrow and the world of SaaStr finds out next week.
Cool.
Okay. Can you bring a live animal mascot? Live animals are not allowed at SaaStr. So don't bring, reptiles. I'm also not a reptile fan, but like birds, I don't know. No live animals are allowed at SaaStr.
No kangaroos. Sorry.
I'd love to see David box the kangaroo, but no.
I know. Sorry, guys. That is, I didn't feel like I had to put that in the policies if it's not allowed, but yeah, technically not allowed. Had to try. Yes, anonymous sponsor. I appreciate the gusto of trying, but yeah, sadly not allowed. All right, friends, it is right at the top of the hour. Thanks for staying on. I know the majority of you stayed on for the whole time. If you have any questions, please email Sponsor Success. We're here to help. We will send out this recap. Again, you've got the slides in the chat if you need it. And the live stream, and we will see you all next week when you've submitted all your graphics. So thanks for joining, and we'll talk to you then.
Thanks, everybody.